and gentlemen, let me begin with a simple but powerful question. What is the one thing that can keep a marriage alive through every storm? More than money, more than romance, even more than love itself. The answer is trust. Without it, even the strongest looking relationships can collapse overnight. But with it, even ordinary couples can achieve extraordinary strength. Scientists have studied love for decades. They've examined brain scans, hormones, and behavior patterns. And while they've published countless reports on stress, anxiety, and emotional health, there is one truth they rarely say out loud. The greatest investment a man can make in his life is trusting his wife. This is not just about feelings. It is about health, resilience, productivity, and even longevity. Today, I want to take you on a journey where science meets everyday life, where research connects with reality, and where the simple act of trust transforms ordinary marriages into extraordinary partnerships. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear may change the way you look at trust forever. Trust in marriage is one of the most important psychological and biological anchors for a healthy life. When we look at the first key note, trust in marriage improves mental and physical health. It may sound simple and even obvious at first, but the layers of meaning behind it are vast. Scientists from psychology, neuroscience, and medical fields have examined this aspect of human life and continue to find new evidence that trust between spouses is not only about feelings of safety or intimacy, but about the way our brains, hormones, and overall health function on a daily basis. A man who trusts his wife and a woman who trusts her husband are not just happier emotionally, they are physically healthier, less prone to disease, and more capable of living a longer, more fulfilling life. The idea begins with stress. In every marriage, there are challenges, arguments, financial burdens, family responsibilities, and unexpected problems. When a relationship lacks trust, each of those problems multiplies in psychological weight. If a husband is unsure whether his wife is truly loyal, supportive, or honest with him, his brain begins to operate in a state of vigilance. That constant doubt triggers the release of stress hormones, primarily cortisol. Cortisol, when elevated over time, weakens the immune system, increases blood pressure, interferes with sleep, and makes a person more vulnerable to anxiety and depression. Now contrast this with a marriage where trust is strong. When a husband fully trusts his wife, he experiences emotional safety. His brain does not need to live in constant suspicion or alertness. As a result, cortisol levels remain stable and low, the body maintains balance, and stress health risk reduced dramatically. On the other side of the spectrum, we have oxytocin, often called the love hormone or bonding hormone. Trust between spouses is one of the fastest triggers for oxytocin release. Neuroscientists have shown in repeated studies that when a person feels secure and trusts their partner, oxytocin is released in the brain, leading to feelings of calm, comfort, and connection. But the effect of oxytocin is not only emotional. This hormone actually lowers blood pressure, improves digestion, strengthens immunity, and enhances wound healing. In other words, trusting your wife is not just a moral or emotional decision, it is literally a prescription for better health. People with higher oxytocin levels experience faster recovery from illnesses and maintain stronger resilience against chronic diseases. Psychologists have gone further to show that marriages with trust are directly linked to lower rates of depression and anxiety. In insecure relationships, where a husband cannot fully trust his wife or vice versa, the mind is filled with uncertainty. This uncertainty often transforms into obsessive thoughts, jealousy, and emotional instability. Living in such a state drains the nervous system and creates long-term psychological scar. But in a trusting marriage, the opposite happens. The husband is free from mental battles, and the wife feels secure in her role. Both partners are able to concentrate on personal growth, family responsibilities, and shared dreams, rather than wasting energy on suspicion or hidden conflicts. Trust, therefore, is like a mental medicine that provides clarity, focus, and inner stability. Medical researchers have also studied the impact of trust in relationships on physical heart health. One long-term study followed married couples over decades and discovered that men who reported high levels of trust in their marriage had significantly lower rates of heart disease and strokes. This was not because they exercised more or ate healthier food, but because their stress levels were naturally managed by the emotional security of trust. Trust acted as a natural shield against the damaging effects of chronic stress on the cardiovascular system. In contrast, men with high suspicion or broken trust in marriage showed higher incidence of high blood pressure, cholesterol problems, and even sleep disorders. The mind and body are always linked, and the health of a relationship is mirrored in the health of the heart. Another area where trust has been shown to improve health is in the regulation of sleep. Quality sleep is one of the strongest factors in overall well-being, affecting memory, immunity, weight control, and emotional balance. A husband who trusts his wife sleeps more peacefully at night. There is no hidden fear, no silent battles, and no subconscious worry that keeps his mind awake. Neuroscience shows that the brain needs to feel safe in order to enter deep sleep cycles, and that feeling of safety often comes from knowing that the person lying next to you is trustworthy and loyal. Broken trust, on the other hand, creates a state of alertness even during rest, causing fragmented sleep and long-term exhaustion. When we expand beyond the individual and look at the couple as a unit, trust enhances cooperative behavior, which in turn reduces stress and promotes health. A husband who trusts his wife shares responsibilities openly, whether they are financial, emotional, or related to raising children. This division of responsibility prevents burnout and overload. If one partner is carrying the entire burden due to lack of trust, the physical and mental strain increases. Trust creates teamwork, and teamwork reduces the weight on both individuals, giving them both a healthier life balance. The psychological load of marriage is lighter when trust is the foundation. Trust in marriage also influences social health. Couples with strong trust engage more actively in family gatherings, community work, and friendships. They are not isolated by jealousy or suspicion, but open to building networks. These social connections are proven to extend life expectancy, as social isolation is one of the leading predictors of early death in adults. Therefore, a husband who trusts his wife not only protects his health internally through hormones and stress regulation, but also externally by staying connected to broader social circles that nurture and support him. Interestingly, scientists have even found that trust between spouses may influence the way children grow. When children see trust between their parents, they develop emotional security, which affects their own stress regulation and health later in life. Kids raised in households with trust have lower risks of behavioral disorders, better performance in school, and healthier emotional regulation. Indirectly, then, a husband who trusts his wife and builds a stable environment is investing in the future health of his children. This generational effect shows how powerful trust is, not only for the husband and wife, but for the entire family system. Another fascinating discovery is how trust in marriage impacts pain perception. Research has shown that when a husband holds his wife's hand in a state of trust, the brain's pain centers respond differently. Pain is actually reduced and comfort is increased. The shared trust literally changes the way the nervous system interprets discomfort. This means that trust in marriage becomes a form of natural anesthesia, reducing suffering during times of illness, injury, or emotional hardship. Scientists were surprised by how consistent this effect was. Though many rarely highlight the practical message, a wife's trust and comfort are as powerful as medicine. Trust also influences longevity. In long-term studies, married men who reported deep trust in their wives lived significantly longer than those who did not. The reasons are complex, but include reduced stress, healthier habits encouraged by supportive wives, stronger immune systems, and the psychological motivation to take care of oneself when living in a trusting partnership. Longevity is not about simply surviving. It is about living with quality. Trust gives men that quality of life by creating meaning, stability, and emotional safety. It is also worth noting that trust enhances intimacy. which itself has health benefits. Sexual intimacy in marriage, when built on trust, is more satisfying, more frequent, and less burdened by fear or insecurity. Healthy intimacy releases endorphins and oxytocin, reduces blood pressure, strengthens the immune system, and deepens emotional connection. Without trust, intimacy becomes mechanical, suspicious, or absent, and the health benefits are lost. Therefore, even at the most private level of marriage, trust is the key ingredient that transforms physical closeness into healing energy. In modern times, where many relationships face the challenges of technology, social media, and changing cultural values, trust is even more critical. Constant exposure to temptations and distractions increases insecurity. But marriages rooted in trust resist those pressures. A husband who trusts his wife is not constantly checking her phone, monitoring her social media, or living in fear of betrayal. His mental freedom preserves his health, because obsessive surveillance or jealousy consumes emotional energy and raises stress to dangerous levels. By contrast, a man secure in his wife's trust lives lighter, healthier, and freer. Ultimately, the scientific evidence all points to one truth. Trust in marriage is not just an emotional comfort, it is a biological necessity. It lowers cortisol, raises oxytocin, protects the heart, improves sleep, strengthens immunity, enhances social bonds, improves parenting, reduces pain, increases longevity, and deepens intimacy. Scientists continue to explore these mechanisms, but many hesitate to emphasize the human lesson behind them. What they often fail to mention openly is that behind the charts, statistics, and hormone levels is a simple truth. Trusting your wife is one of the most powerful choices a man can make for his health, happiness, and future. Trust makes relationships resilient and productive. Explains a truth that both psychology and real-life experience constantly prove. Relationships are fragile when they lack trust, but when trust is present, they can withstand pressures that would otherwise break them apart. Resilience is not about avoiding difficulties, but about facing them and coming out stronger. And productivity in relationships is not about money or material gain alone, but about the ability to build, create, nurture, and grow together. When a husband fully trusts his wife, and when a wife fully trusts her husband, the partnership begins to function as a unit rather than as two separate individuals competing for control. Trust is the invisible glue that makes this possible, and its effects are far-reaching in ways that scientists measure, but do not always highlight in everyday language. The resilience that comes from trust starts with communication. In every marriage, disagreements and misunderstandings will arise. The presence or absence of trust determines how those disagreements are handled. Without trust, every argument becomes a potential fracture in the relationship. Each person assumes the worst intentions in the other, and small issues become large battles. But with trust, arguments are not about destruction, but about finding solution. A husband who trusts his wife does not immediately interpret her words as attacks, and a wife who trusts her husband does not see his mistakes as betrayals. Instead, both partners assume good intent and work through the disagreement. This willingness to give the benefit of the doubt is what psychologists call positive attribution, and it is one of the strongest markers of resilient relationships. Trust also fuels problem solving under pressure. Life brings financial setbacks, family crises, illnesses, and unexpected losses. Couples without trust crumble in these moments because each person doubts whether the other will truly stand beside them. A husband who does not trust his wife may fear that she will abandon him in hard times, and this fear drains his courage and weakens his resolve. But when trust is solid, crises become shared challenges rather than lonely battle. A man who trusts his wife knows that no matter what, she is on his side, and this assurance gives him the strength to face difficulties with confidence. Resilience in marriage is not about avoiding storms, but about having an unshakable anchor during those storms, and that anchor is trust. Productivity in relationships is another dimension shaped by trust. When trust exists, couples are able to make joint decisions effectively. They do not waste energy in suspicion, hidden agendas, or constant second guessing. For example, in financial matters, a husband who trusts his wife does not feel the need to control every detail or keep secrets about income and expenses. Instead, he can share responsibility with her, and together they make wiser choices. Research in family economics shows that couples with high levels of trust save more money, invest more effectively, and manage resources better than couples who hide information from each other. The reason is simple. Secrecy wastes energy, while trust multiplies it. Trust also increases productivity in parenting. Raising children requires endless decisions, patience, and cooperation. Parents who do not trust each other undermine each other's authority, send mixed signals to their children, and create an environment of instability. But parents who trust each other are consistent, supportive, and united. Children in such homes grow up with clarity, knowing that both parents work as one team. This not only benefits the children, but reduces stress for the parents. Trust, therefore, is not just a private benefit for the couple, but a foundation for a more functional family life. Scientists studying resilience in relationships often point to the role of vulnerability. Vulnerability is the willingness to be open about fears, weaknesses, and mistakes. But vulnerability is impossible without trust. A husband will not open his heart to his wife if he fears she will use his weakness against him. A wife will not share her insecurities if she feels her husband will ridicule or dismiss them. Trust creates the safety that allows vulnerability. And vulnerability creates intimacy. Intimacy, in turn, creates resilience, because two people who know each other deeply are less likely to walk away when problems come. They have invested in each other's truth, and that investment is powerful. On a practical level, trust reduces wasted time. Couples without trust often spend hours in suspicion, arguments, or investigations, trying to confirm each other's loyalty. They check phones, question friends, and replay conversations in their minds, creating a cycle of unproductive behavior. Couples with trust skip all of that wasted time and energy. Instead of monitoring each other, they build together, work on goals, and enjoy their partnership. This is what makes a relationship productive. Productivity is about progress, and progress is impossible when energy is constantly drained by mistrust. Another dimension of productivity is emotional energy. Trust saves emotional energy because it removes the constant anxiety of what if. When a husband trusts his wife, he does not have to wonder if she truly loves him, if she is secretly against him, or if she is hiding something important. His emotional energy is free to focus on his career, personal growth, spiritual life, and the marriage itself. Without trust, those emotional resources are wasted in doubt and fear. Over time, this difference accumulates, and relationships with trust become far more fruitful than those without it. Resilience is also about bouncing back from mistakes. No marriage is perfect, and both partners will fail each other at times. The question is not whether mistakes will happen, but whether the relationship can survive them. Trust is the factor that makes forgiveness possible. A husband who trusts his wife is more likely to believe that her mistake was not intentional or malicious, and so he forgives more easily. A wife who trusts her husband does the same. This forgiveness prevents small failures from growing into permanent cracks. Without trust, forgiveness is nearly impossible because every mistake feels like evidence of betrayal. In this way, trust ensures that marriages do not collapse under the weight of human imperfection. Productivity in relationships also shows in creativity and vision. Couples who trust each other dare to dream together. They make long-term plans, start businesses, build homes, or pursue big goals. They do so because they know they can rely on each other's commitment. Without trust, couples avoid risk, avoid big decisions, and live cautiously because they fear abandonment or betrayal. In this way, trust does not just maintain the relationship, but empowers it to grow and expand. Another way trust makes relationships resilient is by reducing the impact of external threats. Every marriage faces pressure from outside sources, friends, extended family, work obligations, or even temptations. When trust is weak, these outside influences can easily cause division. A careless word from a relative or a rumor from a friend can plant seeds of doubt and damage the relationship. But when trust is strong, those same outside influences have little power. The couple knows where they stand with each other, and no outsider can shake that foundation. This external resilience is crucial in a world full of distractions and pressures. Psychologists often emphasize that resilience in relationships is not about avoiding conflict, but about having the resources to recover from it. Trust provides that resource. A husband who trusts his wife does not walk away when the first serious disagreement arises. He stays because he believes in her heart and intentions. A wife who trusts her husband does the same. That choice to stay, to work through the problem rather than abandon the relationship, is what resilience truly means. Over time, couples who trust each other build a track record of survival, and that track record itself becomes a source of strength. They look back and realize that together they have survived so much already, and this makes them even stronger for the future. Trust also brings stability to decision-making. Many marriages suffer because one partner makes decisions in secrecy, fearing that the other cannot be trusted with the truth. This secrecy backfires, leading to more suspicion and division. But when trust is present, couples make decisions together, share information openly, and act as a team. This stability reduces the risk of impulsive or reckless choices that can harm the family. It creates a sense of balance where both partners feel respected and involved. Stability is the soil in which resilience grows, and trust is the root that nourishes it. Another overlooked aspect of trust is how it strengthens identity within marriage. In relationships with mistrust, partners often feel the need to defend themselves constantly. They hide parts of their personality, suppress their true feelings, or play roles to avoid conflict. This constant self-editing erodes identity and makes the relationship feel exhausting. In contrast, trust allows both husband and wife to be fully themselves. When a person is free to be authentic, the relationship becomes a source of energy rather than a drain. That energy in turn fuels resilience because authentic partners are more deeply bonded and more willing to protect what they have built together. The productivity that grows from trust is also financial. Numerous studies show that married men who trust their wives are more likely to succeed in careers and financial goals. The reason is that trust at home creates stability and emotional peace, which allows a man to focus on work with clarity. A supportive and trusted wife often becomes an advisor, motivator, and partner in decision-making. Couples who trust each other are also less likely to waste money on conflicts, separations, or compensations for broken trust. Financial productivity is not only about earning more, but about managing better, and trust enables that management. Finally, resilience in relationships supported by trust carries over into health outcomes. Couples who trust each other heal faster from illnesses, endure difficult treatments with more success, and recover emotionally from trauma more effectively. Trust is a psychological medicine that strengthens the immune system, reduces anxiety, and creates an environment of safety that allows healing. Productivity in this context is about producing not only material success, but physical and emotional well-being. In the end, trust is not a luxury in marriage, it is the lifeblood that makes everything else possible. It protects our health, calms our minds, strengthens our families, and turns two individuals into one resilient, productive unit. Scientists can measure hormones, track stress levels, and analyze patterns, but what they often fail to say clearly is this: a husband who truly trusts his wife unlocks a power that no study can fully capture. Trust transforms love into something enduring, something that not only survives but thrives, and something that builds a legacy for generations to come. May your own relationships be filled with the strength of trust, the comfort of loyalty, and the joy of true companionship. I wish you good luck in building the kind of bond that not only survives challenges, but turns them into stepping stones. Thank you for listening, and thank you for valuing the power of trust.